Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe. I am your host, Joe, and with me, as always, is my whimsical, wonderful, and wubsical co-host, Joe.
It's been a day.
Has it? Have you been through some stuff today?
It's just been the day is not what I expected it was going to be. I had all these aspirations and things I wanted to get done, and then I just read comic books.
Hey. Comic books it's a good way to spend the day. I've been going through the volumes of stuff that I've had sitting over by my on my nightstand, and I gotta say, it's quite enjoyable. Daredevil, mwah, perfection. The Zdarsky run, to be more precise. All the stuff that we're gonna be talking about today, mwah, also pretty good. Or mixed bag actually, but we'll get to that
Definitely,
later.
definitely mixed bag. I'm like,
Yeah.
Joe, oh boy. I'm like, are we already deferring at this part? I'm like, wow, we're 2 minutes in.
We probably should. I feel like we agree too much with a lot of this stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, Joe,
Well,
disagree with me every once in a while.
you know what? I don't think I will. There you go. That's what you get. And what is it? So we got the comics that we're going to be talking about. We got a movie that we're going to be talking about, which isn't animated. To
Wow,
to
Joe broke the
everyone's
streak.
surprise, I did. I
I
was.
thought we I thought it was going to be like an unspoken rule, but you had to go fuck it up.
We just become an animation like video essay channel, and that's all we do.
We don't
You
even
can't.
podcast anymore. We just take turns making video essays.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we ended up doing. But for Joe, if we were actually going to do that, one of us would have to learn how to edit beyond hitting the export button.
Well, Joe, you have seen my walking film, so I think I know how to edit.
That is true. You do know how to composite some stuff. So that is that walking bit where you walk at the camera and then the camera flips and you're walking on the same like from the same side. I was like, "Ooh, you did it." And that looked natural.
I know
Very
how
good.
to edit air quotes.
Just as hard as you can, just you make the air quotes and then hopefully it'll be picked up by the mic.
I saw a
Is this
little spike.
interesting? Nice. None of this is interesting. We're just talking random crap. But what is interesting is what we're going to be talking about today. So, up on the docket, we got the movie Swiss Army Man. Then, followed after that, we've got future state lineup of comics. And stay tuned for that because I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about with the issues that we read this week. And then after that, what I'm most excited for is some more Attack on Titan, baby. Ooh, it's getting so good. All right.
Every
Um,
week, I keep waiting for at least one of the three things that we talk about to like really like be subpar. Like even even like some of like all the comics we've talked about, we've all been able to like talk about them for a while, and they had interesting components to them. We've been really lucky with the fact that Future State just came out. With the movies, we've both been picking some pretty good movies, and Attack on Titan has not been disappointing. So, oh man, I love this. This is good.
this is good, but don't jinx it. This is only the third episode back that we're recording. So we shall see. Hopefully, it all holds out. But the entertainment industry is a fickle bitch, so we'll we'll see how all that goes. Um,
That should be the name of a candle. Fickle bitch. What is it? What would it smell like?
what's this candle scent? You're in like a TJ Maxx and you ask the person who's like one of the workers and they're just walking up like, "What's this candle smell?" And like, "Oh, you spin it around and like, oh, I see, but like, what does it smell? Oh, well, what's the name tag say, ma'am? It says fickle bitch. Yeah, exactly. I don't I don't know what this
That's a good
smells
answer.
like. Oh, come on. We all have that one friend, and you know what they smell like. Am I right? And then the worker and the woman, they have a nice little laugh, and the woman puts it into her little basket, and she pays way too much for it because scented candles are always way too much. And then she gives it to her daughter for Christmas or something like that. Um,
What a story.
Maybe the daughter's the fickle bitch. Who knows? And maybe she's trying to send a really passive aggressive message and just being like, "Hey, daughter, haha, maybe stop being so much of a fickle bitch." I'm gonna have too much fun, like deep frying my voice into the microphone.
It's really enjoyable.
I'm glad at least one person enjoys it. That's all that matters. Even if we get dozens of comments that say please stop, which isn't possible because we would need to have any comments. But so long as you enjoy it, I will keep doing it. All right, so first up on the docket, we got ourselves a nice little indie movie called Swiss Army Man, starring one Dan and another Dan, and then written and directed by two other Dans. If you think I'm lying, I am not. I will pull up the page. It's right here. Swiss Army Man, made in 2016. Directors Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It's German, I'm assuming, because it's an SCH sort of a thing. And then it stars Daniel Radcliffe, Harry himself, and Paul Dano. So, how many Danas does it take to make one movie, Joe?
Danley.
That's not a number, but I am willing to accept it because it fits in with the bit that I am doing right now. So, real quick, I have seen this film multiple times. It is one of my personal favorite movies. But I want you to, in the fastest way you can possible, much like last week, describe the plot / story of this film, like in a real snappy.
Man is stranded on an island, tries to kill himself, finds a dead body, and then realizes, well, should have killed myself. Tries to kill himself again, realizes the dead body is farting, then uses the dead body that farts as a propeller boat to safety, arrives on another island, not sure, or some other form of land, not knowing where he is, and then slowly but surely the dead man starts to come back to life and has powers to do different things, and they live in the forest trying to find civilization. And the man who was going to kill himself at the beginning teaches the dead man about life. And yeah, that's what a movie.
That was actually very, very good. Yeah, so what are your impressions of this movie after having seen it for the first time right before we recorded this podcast?
Yeah, finished this about a half an hour ago, and my reaction was the same reaction of the redheaded girl at the end of the movie. What the fuck?
What's the actress's name? Elizabeth Winstead or something like that?
I think that's it, yeah.
It's Winona. It's Scott Pilgrim girl. It's Manic Pixie Dream girl from Scott Pilgrim. Whoever she is, it's that person. But did you like it though?
I literally, in the first 10 minutes, I'm like, I'm gonna kill Joe. I'm like, why the fuck did he pick this? I'm like, what the hell is this movie? I'm like, this is gonna be the dumbest fucking movie I have ever seen. And I didn't know it was an A24 film.
Yeah.
Which I was like, what? That's weird. And I also do remember at the beginning it said a movie made by a couple of Dans or something like that.
A movie made by Daniels, I think, is the exact line in the
Okay.
beginning of the film.
I was like, oh, I'm like, I don't get that, but okay. And then you explaining that, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, first 10 minutes, I'm like, this is a fucking weird movie. I'm like, oh god. I'm like, I'm not gonna get through this. And then I the scene where he rides him like a boat into the water, and he pulls down his pants, and you see Daniel Radcliffe's butt cheeks. I was laughing my ass off. It was
Yes.
I was at a loss for words. I'm like, what am I watching? And like the best thing for me, I would say I liked the movie. I don't think I'm ever gonna watch it again.
That's fine.
And it definitely was a roller coaster for me. Like there were times where I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "This is so fucking stupid," and there were other times where I was like, "This is fucking hilarious and awesome." Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe definitely is the best part of the movie. He
Oh,
is
100%.
the
Swiss Army Man himself.
best dead guy I have ever met. Um, Yeah, but I give it a what the fuck out of 10.
Hey, honestly, I'd probably give it about the same, but it's like the it's such a weird it's whimsical, I'd almost say. It's weird, it's whimsical, it's it's heartwarming in like ways that you wouldn't expect something to be heartwarming when you're kind of watching it and you're like, why is this like this? Um but yeah, so like Paul Dano, he is stranded on an island. We don't really know how he got there. Like we learn a little bit in the film that he's not really he's a loner kind of guy. Not
I
really by
think
choice.
in one of the like the little paper boat things that he was sending out, it said
Hmm.
something like I took a boat out to the ocean or something like that, and he also mentioned in the movie that he ran away. So I don't
Yeah,
know if he was like, I'm gonna go travel the ocean.
yeah, that's right. That might have been one of the things that he was doing. I don't know. But yeah, that's they don't really address it. It's just it's there in the beginning of
It's
the
not even
film.
important.
Yeah, no, it's not because the important stuff is the journey that he then takes with who we come to the corpse played by Daniel Radcliffe, who we come to know as Manny. Um, and yeah, Daniel Radcliffe. I think I've only seen him in Harry Potter, uh, Now You See Me Too, which should have been called Now You Don't because the first one was called Now You See Me. Second one should have been called Now You Don't. Come on, guys, that's like basic. That's like basic payoff sort of a thing. Anyway, and then this movie, and again, Harry Potter. It's not like aside from Alan Rickman, it's not the best acting going on screen sort of a thing. But I love Daniel Radcliffe in this movie because he plays a corpse that has the power to shoot rocks out of his mouth like a machine gun, and you can snap his fingers and light fires. It's incredible.
Don't
I
forget about the
love it.
penis compass.
The penis compass is one of the strangest, most creative, insane things, and I love it. I love everything about it. Like, there's very little. I can't be really analytical with this movie because it is
No.
so much just an emotional, like, it's just an emotional core for me. Uh, if I try and like divulge into it some more, then I start to I don't know. I guess it kind of like loses the luster or the magical appeal that it has for me personally. There's so much that's just weird. Like even the things we're saying, like he can snap his fingers, make a fire. There's a lot of a cappella Jurassic Park. Uh, there is the penis compass, which I'm sure anyone who hears that is like, what the fuck
The
are they
best part of the
talking
whole
about?
movie.
Maybe,
It's alive!
arguably, it's alive.
Get it off! What is it doing?
Hank, what's happening to my body? It's so funny.
I'm disgusting.
In the end, when there were the little girl and he's like, "Look what I can do," and then Hank's like, "No," and he smacks it,
I'm like, damn, that
jumping
thing
ahead.
snapped in half.
Oh yeah, that thing is so. When he's fiddling with it, when he first is learning how the dig compass works, and he's like moving it with a stick through the pants, and he's like, "What is this thing doing?" And then like just keeps springing back into different like direct. It's like that's not how that would work. Be
Oh,
very painful.
oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the some things that I do want to talk about though, it's for such a strange movie, it's beautifully shot. Like the shots in this film are insanely good. And it might be my bias for like how like nature looking stuff because I really enjoy that sort of a thing. Like the color palette of this movie is like really vibrant greens, really deep blues, and rich browns and grays and things like that. And so it's a very natural looking film. But there are some shots that are just so good, like the ocean in the beginning when they're riding on it, and like when the credits are kind of in between the credit scenes. The ocean looks so beautiful, and the foliage of everything looks insane. It's just so beautiful looking.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that like it looks fantastic. I will say when they landed on not the island, but when they
The
after
mainland,
riding the Manny boat, um,
the
as
Manny
soon as I
human
saw
jet ski.
as soon as I saw the trees and they started walking through the woods, I'm like, that's Oregon. I'm like, I bet you that is Oregon. And they didn't say what it is, but like, I think it's West Coast because they said the Pacific Ocean, right?
Yeah, he did say it was in the. He had been stranded in the Pacific, I believe, in the beginning. I'm pretty sure. I'm looking up. So filming took place over the course of 22 days throughout California, including San Pedro and Humboldt County.
Okay,
Yeah,
so California. Okay. I thought it was
yeah. So it was
Oregon,
California.
but it looked awesome. Yeah, visually it was really, really good.
Hmm.
And even just like a lot of cuts and everything like that, technically it was definitely good. Um, and I thought the comedy was fantastic. I will say though, I didn't really have like any emotional connection to it. Like I more enjoyed it for the comedy and just like, yeah, pretty much for the comedy and the fact of like some of the just crazy ideas. I'm like, okay, this is why I'm enjoying it. Um, I didn't really like, yeah, I didn't really connect with the deeper aspects of it. I found Manny's story a bit more compelling than Hank's. Just like Manny learning, like, oh wow, sitting in a bus, this is amazing, and like the whole idea of like, oh, um, a lot of times we take things for granted that we have, and you don't realize it until it's gone. And I really
Right.
liked
Yeah.
that. I didn't really like emphasize too much with Hank. I I
I
found
don't
it
think.
funnier when Manny was making fun of Hank.
Yeah, but he's not really making fun of Hank in a. It's not a cynical way or.
Oh no 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 no, not at all.
Yeah, he's just sort of ignorant to. Excuse me, little burp. He's just sort of ignorant to all the different manner, like the social norms of the situation and things of that sort. Because Manny is such a innocent soul. He's brought to life through ambiguous ways. Uh, Again, it's not important for the story, and that's something that I do want to touch on in a little bit. Like, I have a question of what is Manny, and I kind of want to delve into that in a second, but we'll get there. Um, and he's just sort of like not Paul. That's the actor. The character Hank is the right, not the right along. He's the person who's lived in this world, and Manny is the person who would be like in again air quotes our ride along character. So he's the one that the audience learns about the world through, and it's funny because it still takes place in our world. It's completely normal. There's no mythical dragons, no insane superhero stuff. It's nothing like that. It's just Earth now, and through the teachings of Hank, you kind of learn the weirdness of the world today and how lonely a place like that can be. And it's kind of it's almost, I wouldn't say it's a critique, really. I think it does raise some questions about what things are considered normal and why they're considered normal. Like farts are something that are prevalent throughout the entirety of the
That's what I
movie.
was thinking.
Yeah, and one of Manny's things is like farts are just like farts. It's like he just learns what they are, and he's like, yeah, I've been doing that because I'm a dead, decomposing body, and I've been farting all the time. And you used my farts to ride me like a jet ski across the ocean back to land. He's like, farts are a good thing. And then Hank is like, no, Manny, you can't just fart in front of people, like it's gross or whatever. And then that comes into play later when Hank reveals to Manny like that he's been keeping some bigger secret from him, and it kind of sends Manny into like this spiral of despair. And like one of the lines is, "If my friend keeps his farts from me, what other things are is he keeping from me?" And it sounds ridiculous and it sounds really funny, but it is not played for laughs at that moment in the film.
No, no.
It is very emotional at that point. Whether you were like invested in it or not, it is like you can tell. It's like no, this is heavier than a funny haha joke you laugh thing. It's like no, this is very serious. Manny's realizing, or he's more so, I guess, losing innocence, realizing that his best friend, and really his only friend, um, keeps secrets from him. So it's kind of like a oh wow, look at it's funny because it takes the funny joke of the fart that's been something throughout the entirety of the film. It's been like a joke kind of a thing, and then it becomes a teaching tool, and then it becomes a like a different, more, it becomes like a different symbol in the sense of when Hank hides it from Manny. It's it means that he could be hiding other things. I was looking for a word there, but I couldn't figure out what I wanted to use. Um, my brain's still trying to figure out what word I want to use. I'm going to stop thinking about that word. Anyway, it takes the weird concepts and it critiques and raises questions about, and I'm gonna use the meme, Joe,
Let me hear it.
about society, and it just kind of, it makes you think a little bit, but it makes you think in a more fun way. Would you agree?
I would agree. I thought there was a lot of meta stuff in this. Um,
Mm.
like when Hank first dresses up as the girl, and he's like, "Oh, you look great." He goes, "I do." He's like, "Do you know what people would say when I walk around like this?" And I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "That's definitely like a cross-dressing thing. Definitely like a reference to that." Would you agree?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's that's again, that's just something that would take place like in the normal world. Like if a guy, just like a straight, I guess, cis guy, just all of a sudden was dressed up as a woman, then people would be like, what's going on? Like, is there? Some people would be like, make fun of him or be, I guess, afraid, quote unquote, of him, and then others would just be like, hey, buddy, what's going on? Is this what you're into, sort of a thing? But obviously, Hank isn't. He's just straight cis guy, and he's very much in the mindset of like, this is weird. I don't want to be seen in a woman's dress and a wig and stuff like that. It's not. That's not me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly it. And yeah, there was just a lot of times where like between um when Manny was on the bus and I liked how they were talking about like um he's like, "Oh, I have a strange desire to put my lips on yours." And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 that's jumping ahead of things." He's like, "Oh, can I ask her to have sex?" He goes, "That's way too far." And he's like, "What
No,
about
no, no.
just a tip? Just a tip?"
He's like, no, no, Manny, it's not about the sex. And then he teaches him a little bit more about what actual connection and love is. And I think that's what the, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what the main theme of the movie is learning to not be so afraid of making genuine connections, and the fact that everyone is always like, no one's this completely normal stereotypical person. Everyone has a little bit of weirdness in them somewhere. Some choose to
Everybody
wear it.
poops.
Everybody poops.
That's the
Exactly.
theme of the movie. It's simple as that. Everybody poops.
That's the scene. That's the theme of scene 45, take 53, when he steps in the massive, the massive bear poop, and then is scared out of his mind because there is a bear. Oh, I didn't even realize that's like because later you never see the bear at that point in the movie. You're only
Hmm.
like, you're somewhere in the middle there, but you never see the bear. You just hear it, and you see some bushes rustling around, and you're like, I think that's probably a bear. And then at the end of the movie, they get attacked by a bear.
Yup.
I never realized that. Look, I'm discovering new things, Joe.
I mean, I picked that up on the first time, so I think you're just a little slow.
All right, well, I was emotionally invested. Fuck you. Emotional brain goes up, analytic brain go down. It's like porn, you know? When you watch it, you don't really think about the plot too much because emotional brain really high and then analytical brain really low.
I have no comment. I don't even
Probably
know
for
what
the
you're
best.
talking about.
What is porn? What is this porn you speak
That's
of?
something Manny would ask.
Right, Google it. Moving on to Manny. What do you think Manny is?
Does it matter?
No, it doesn't. I don't think it matters at all. But I'm just curious, what's your interpretation of what Manny is?
A super-powered zombie.
It's like one of Hank's explanations at the beginning. Maybe you were irradiated, or you're a secret government super spy that's been reawakened.
I
And
was
then
really
they just
waiting
never
for
touch
the
on it.
ending to be like, oh, he was never there. It was all an imagination thing.
Uh-huh.
But oh no, he was there. He was definitely there.
It seems like it was, because again, you
Oh,
got
you can't hide from it. Literally, the ending. You got everybody staring at what Manny does. Like he's, oh yeah, he's definitely there.
right.
Um, but yeah,
It could
it,
still be in his head though. Like you never. I mean, if you
I
take it at
don't
face
know.
value, I
I
guess.
think
Yeah.
it's a stretch. I think they very much were like, no, like this wasn't like in this world. This actually happened. Um, my favorite is at the end when the camera guy, his face, he's just like, what am I doing?
He's just filming. Doesn't he?
He pulls
The
the camera down.
right. He pulls the camera down, but then doesn't the anchor woman? She's like, put it back up, and he like puts it back
Yeah,
up to
yeah, yeah.
watch
He
the
pulls
body
it back
go.
up.
He watches Daniel Radcliffe's body go farting into the sea onto the new horizon. It's so good. And the ending where we're just ping ponging all over the place, but I don't think it really matters because if you were gonna watch this movie, you were in the moment we said magic penis compass.
Oh yeah, that's the selling
So
point.
that is this that's the selling point of this entire movie. Um, but the fact that he kind of Manny somehow can understand Hank's or like interpret Hank's memories and has some of them because he knows who the woman is on Hank's phone screen. Like he remembers her last name, and then he finds where she lives. Like when after the bear fight, when Hank kind of passes out from,
I love
like the
that scene.
damage.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
he's Hank's. I mean, not Hank. Manny is just carrying Hank because Manny can move now. Most of the movie, Manny can't move. He's like, he's a corpse, and so Hank has to kind of move him, which is also really funny seeing him like all the creative ways like he ties sticks to his hands to make him wave and do all this other cool stuff.
Turns him into a puppet.
He does turn him into a puppet during the party scene where he actually like ties all his limbs to his and he goes walking around and picking things up and just like throwing stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cute and cool. Um, but like, how does Manny know where the actress Elizabeth Winstead's home is? And her name is Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I'm looking at the cast list. I
He
got it
just
in front of
follows
me.
the penis compass. The penis compass tells you where to go.
Uh, that could probably be a legitimate explanation, but it only really seems to work when he's looking at the image of her, and also, I mean, I guess it could have because again, there's the bit where like they fight for a bit, and then the girl comes out, and then he tries to show off what he can do, and then Hank slaps it away. So I guess he could have gone flaccid and then re-erected for I don't want to complete this sentence for a tiny child. It's not in a
Don't
sexual way,
don't don't
though.
flag us.
Please don't flag us. It's in the movie. It's perfectly fine. I mean, it's not perfectly fine. Don't go. I'm going to stop this right here and right now. Because Manny's a little ignorant. He wasn't doing it with any sexual desire. It was purely just to show off his magic penis.
Okay,
Anyway,
we're done. Done. I'm cutting you off. No more magic penis the rest of the night.
damn it. Um, all right, so yeah, he could. So you think he was just a real corpse that could do all these things and
Yes.
then moved
I
off
think
into
I think
the
it's just they make the movie that you don't even question it. Like I didn't even think about what is he. The only thing I thought about was towards the end. I'm like, oh, is he gonna like not exist or something?
right.
Like, is the girl gonna come out and be like, oh, who are you talking to? And then Hank was gonna turn and Manny was gonna be gone. Like I was expecting something like that. But throughout the movie, I was just bought in. I'm like, oh, as soon as I saw him riding like a jet ski, which is also not sexual at all.
Right, we have to clarify.
I was like, okay, I'm bought in. I'm like, I'm just gonna go with the flow with this. I'm like, I'm already super confused, super just, I don't even care anymore. I'm just watching this. It wasn't like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. How is that physically possible? Where is the explanation? Like, I could care less, and I think it was because the way they had it set up, you really didn't care. Like, it wasn't. I thought at the beginning of the movie that he was just gonna wake up and be like, "Oh, I'm a dead body," whatever. but I liked how he gradually got more and more alive as time went on.
Yeah, he was like Hank was because Hank was like interacting with him and being, I guess, like a, for lack of a better word that I can find right now, like a friend to him.
Hmm.
His friendship was slowly like awakening him, and I guess like I feel like it's a metaphor almost for like bringing uh people out of their shells and like the weirdos and like the outcasts that people never really pay attention to. It's like if you actually give them a chance or like befriend them, then you can actually form these really incredible relationships with each other, um, which I feel is like the strongest aspect of this film is the actual, because it really the only two characters in the entire movie are Manny and Hank, so their chemistry and their interaction relationship has to be great in order to be the backbone of this film, and I find it wonderful. um, do you have like what do you think about their actual interrelationship of those two characters?
Oh, I thought it was awesome. They become homies. Like it's
They become the homies.
Hank. When I masturbate for the first time, I'm gonna think of your mom. I was dead. I was absolutely dead. And I love how Hank doesn't just be like, oh, he doesn't understand. He actually gets mad at him, like, dude, you don't say that, because he treats him like an actual he's his friend, um,
Right.
and I like that a lot. It isn't just like, oh, he's a dead body. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's like, yo, man, you can't say stuff like that.
Well, because he's still
Um,
trying to teach him. Like he's been
yeah,
teaching him
true,
this
true.
entire time, and so it's kind of like if your kid came home from, I don't know, first grade school or something, and all of a sudden was saying shit, and you're like, "What? No, no, we don't say that. Not yet. Okay." Fifth grade, maybe I'll give you one a day or one a week or something. That's your language allowance.
But yeah, their relationship is definitely what carries the whole movie.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I gotta sit with it a little bit more. Like it's weird having it fresh in my mind because I was very nervous. I thought after the first 10 minutes I was not gonna like it at all. I was
You're
really,
just simply referring to the like the suicides where Hank's about to hang himself, right?
yeah, yeah. When
Yeah.
like everything changes once he hops on. This is terrible. You can clip this so many times in this podcast. When he finally hops on Manny and rides him like a speed. That's when I was bought in. That's when everything changed. And once I realized it was a porno.
Joe, we will not be true friends until I ride you like it's fucking jet ski.
Oh my goodness, what?
When this is over, when COVID is a long distant memory and we can all go to the beach, I'm gonna ride you like a jet ski for hours, alright?
I'm gonna have so many nightmares when I sleep tonight. So many.
It's
Anyway,
perfectly fine.
up
Uh,
until that point, I was not bought in. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, it's Castaway. I'm like, I don't want to watch Castaway. I saw Castaway for the first time like 5 months ago, and my whole life I thought Castaway was a comedy. It's not a comedy. It is not even close to a comedy. So I
it's
sat
just all
down to
tragedy.
it's just all tragedy and depressing, and I'm like, what the heck? I went into it with such an uplifting mood. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be funny. No, not at all. And I guess that's how I felt with this one, but the opposite. I went into it being like, oh my god, this is just gonna be really depressing as shit. I'm like, I don't want to watch this. And then the comedy came in, and the comedy it's top notch. I was laughing. I had to pause it so many times because I was just laughing my ass off.
Really? I've
Oh, I
never
thought it was
laughed my
hilarious.
ass off at it. Interesting. That's awesome. I'm at least glad that you got some sort of like enjoyment in that sense out of it. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I was rolling. When 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 the magic penis first pops up, I was dead because I was not expecting it at all. I was just like, oh,
No one
whatever he's
expects the magic penis, Joe. No one.
Ed. When oh, I also laughed my ass off when Manny talks for the first time and Hank punches the
punches him in
shit.
the face, and then screams and runs away.
He sounded like a girl. I was dead. I was laughing so much.
All right, I'm not gonna leave you again, okay, buddy? Okay, buddy. Ah! Just punch runs away. It's so
What
good.
the hell was that for?
Like you knock the jaw loose, so he's talking, and then he locks the jaw back into place while he's talking, so he can actually understand what he's saying. It's very good. The chemistry between Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano, impeccable, I must say. Also, the music in this film, the soundtrack, if you will. What did you think of that? This is very important to me.
I liked it because it actually played a role in the story. And I like when that happens a lot. Yeah, like it was one of those where it wasn't like a lot of times I think of a good soundtrack, I'm like, oh, I want to go listen to it afterwards. But for this situation, it was good because, like I said, it played an actual role in the story. Like the movie is partly a musical, actually, guys.
A little bit, but like in the most vague
0.5%
sense.
of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And did you catch? Because a lot of it is really clever in the way that they write in some of the some of the lyrics. So there's a segment in the middle where, like, when they're doing the party and everything, it's like the happiest point of the film when they're discovering all the cool new things that that Manny can do, like the fire snapping, and you can like wind him up and use him to like chop logs and stuff like that. The song that plays during there is called Montage, and there's just a whole, like, so many of the lyrics are just what they're doing at that moment in the montage. At the beginning, pop popcorn, pop popcorn,
Oh
pop
yeah.
popcorn, pop pop. It's like there's that. Then we kill the raccoon. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. I don't remember all the lyrics, but like there are the one or two things that pop into my head that I always recognize. But it's exactly what they're doing in the montage. And the funny thing is, I was watching a couple interviews before we recorded this. They had all the music done before they were filming, so like they knew exactly what they had to film. Like it was planned out what they had to film exactly for the music bits that they were actually going to end up doing. And I just find that awesome that they were like, all right, this is the music, these are the lyrics, we already know what the script is and what the story is going to be, as you should when you make a film. And then they just filmed all of it, which also, I don't know if you caught that early when I said it, but they filmed this over the course of 22 days. Like, that's it. It was in and out, and that was that.
That's
And so much
wild.
of it was, like, like, all the special effects, so much of it was actually practical effects, and it looks awesome. Some of
Oh,
the
like
stuff
all
that
the
they end up
stuff they
doing.
built, that also like shook me. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, they actually had to build this for the movie. I'm like, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, all the forts and, like, the little
Yep.
knickknack things made out of garbage. It's whoever would that be, props, set designer,
I think that
both
would
of
be
them.
yeah, both, yeah.
Round of applause for.
Props to you.
I'm gonna smack you. All right, so overall, for Swiss Army Man, you would give that a
I did say earlier, oh, what the fuck out of 10, but I
right.
feel like I do have to give it a number.
You don't have to. If you want to stick by that, you're perfectly. Joby, it's
Really?
our show. We can make up our rules.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
I give it a WTF out of 10.
All right. I appreciate that. I give it a. All right, think of something witty, Joe. Think of something funny. You can't let Joe be funnier than you.
How many magical penises out of magical penises?
That's a good metric to measure this by.
It's a very large metric.
I give it 4 magical penis montages out of 5. That's what I give it.
Oh, it's a lot of magical penises.
Yes, it is.
Or would it be
It's more than
peni?
3. Um, you know, It could be either. It's like the Oxford comma. You could have it or you could not. It's really up to you. Whatever you're feeling on the day.
That second year of Arcadia English didn't teach you anything?
No, not really. You know
Taught
how
me a
shitty
lot of
that class.
stuff.
Yeah, we don't need to go in. We don't need to go into that right now.
Joe blocked that road way.
I
Joe
set up
blew up the bridge.
Yeah, no, there's TNT on the bridge. I blew it up, and then I poured cement over all the wreckage so you can never get to it. It's
See,
locked away.
I'm the one that likes the detour. Joe is like, we're sticking to the plan, Joe. And this whole podcast is just him trying to be like, just a guy. He's my lane assist. He's trying to like guide me back into the lane. Guide me back into the lane. But really, I just want to hit a Yui.
I just want to bang a Yui and then hit 95 going down the freeway. Maybe I'll hit like a little dirt mound and like catch some air or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Bit of fun. All right. Joe, for next week, would you happen to have a film that you would like us to watch?
Joe,
Yes.
don't hate me
Uh-oh.
because I haven't picked one out yet.
Uh-oh.
And I thought about it, and I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, I need to pick one out. I'm like, I really need to think about it. I didn't think about it.
Uh-oh.
And as we started talking about the movie, I'm like, oh God. I'm like, I gotta think about it while I'm talking. I can't multitask for shit. And I'm like, you know
Come
what?
on.
I'm like, I can pick one out. I'm like, I can do it. But then I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, that means I'm passing up one of my movie choices. And then we have to talk about the one I picked out. And who knows? Maybe that wasn't my top pick. And then we got to talk about the one you pick. And then I have to wait 2 more weeks until I actually get to talk about the one that I want to pick. So, with all that, I'm going to need a couple days to think about it.
Pay attention, kiddos. This is what a person who didn't do their homework the night before and is trying to explain their ass away sounds like.
It's been a while since I had to do that. Like, actually, like, try and come up with, like, a reason, like, oh, why I didn't do my homework. And I remember vividly one time in 6th grade where a bunch of people didn't do their homework. And my science teacher came up to me. She goes, and what's your excuse? After, like, talking to a bunch of other people and hearing their excuse. And I was like, I just didn't do it. And everybody in the class was laughing their ass off. She goes, I appreciate the honesty.
Dude, honestly, I would, like, anytime I end up doing that, because it's never, I don't have a dog. I don't have, like, a Peter Parker-esque, oh, I missed the bus and I'm late for class, and I don't have any of that. It's always, like, I just forgot. And so anytime I don't have the homework, I've never really been questioned about it, but whenever I am, it's just like, I just forgot, man, I'm sorry, I just didn't do it. And it's always like, all right, well, get it in at some point. And I'm like, will do, profess. All right.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
academics.
I blew it. I didn't do my
totally
homework.
Fine.
It's a week
totally
till the
fine.
semester starts, and I'm already behind on homework.
Yeah, you're already failing this course, but it's totally fine.
This broadcasting
I'll
course
just
is really
fail you.
tough.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will. This is good because, look, we're mixing up the formula a little bit, huh? This is actually all part of my plan.
I mean, this does follow the rule of sequels. The first one establishes the formula. The second one kind of does it again, but a little bit differently. And then the third one is where you mix it up. Then, when the fourth one rolls around, it'll be like we're going back to our roots, because then we'll have it on track probably again. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe this will crash and burn, or something will change and we end
We're
up
not
doing
even going
something
to be
else.
talking about movies. We'll be talking about sports in 2 weeks.
Maybe we'll just do family vlogs. Got
No,
anyone pregnant
God,
recently, Joe?
Not recently.
But
But moving on. I will pick a
Moving on.
movie in the next couple days. And when
Okay.
we get back together, we will have talked about and watched that movie. So I'll let you know what I decide. I'll probably have a decision
Okay.
tomorrow. I don't know. But for all our raving, loving, stalking fans, I didn't pick a movie.
we can always add it into the description, or pin a comment or something in the video
Ooh,
if people
look at
really want to know.
that. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we can do that
Tech
sort of stuff,
savvy.
Joe. Yeah,
Is
I know how
that
to click
called
buttons.
editing?
No, it's called leaving a comment. It's
What?
even dumber than editing.
You got to show me how to do that.
Yeah, I will at some point. All right, next topic though. We gotta keep this gravy train on a moving. Comics, specifically.
Comics.
Yeah, exactly. Specifically, Future State comics.
And Blade
Uh,
Runner.
oh yes, and Blade Runner. Do you want to talk about Future State first, or do you want to do Blade Runner
Yes.
first?
Yes, Blade Runner we can talk about for literally like 20.29 seconds.
All right, you're on the clock and go.
uh, uh, Dark Detective by Future State. Let's talk about this.
Just
By
completely going to
Future
another
State.
book.
Joe,
Yeah.
I really liked this book. We're specifically talking about Dark Detective. It's a Batman book in Future
Right.
State. The
It
Batman with
follows.
Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
And it's two separate stories in this comic. The second one's about Grifter, who I've never
Yes.
heard before.
He's from what's it called? Wildstorm. It's like a different imprint that Jim Lee created. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'm kind of worrying about it, but thanks for telling
It's
me.
fine, but don't worry about it.
Let me tell you one thing, Joe.
Okay.
This
Just
art
one. Yes.
banging.
Dude, Dan Mora is the frickin' man. I love Dan Mora's art so much.
Wow. Like,
As I
wow.
told you, he does Klaus, and he's doing Once and Future right now. He is incredible, and DC knows it. And if you haven't noticed, all so much of the covers and promotional material for Future State are all Dan Mora art. They're like, we've got him on now for our company. We're gonna use him as much as we can.
It's absolutely amazing. Because I thought the art in the next Batman book was fine. Like it was like hit or miss for what story you were reading.
Right.
And when you had read it, you had said the same thing. It was like weird. It kept flip flopping back and forth. But this one, oh my goodness, right away, the colors and everything, like it's absolutely amazing. Like it definitely gives me Blade Runner vibes. With the way Gotham looks now and everything, not as futuristic as Blade Runner, but still definitely the same. I would say aspects. And
Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely like Neo Tokyo inspired, sort of.
oh yeah, oh yeah, and the colors, man. Oh my goodness. I
Dan
also
Mora
love
loves
Bruce Wayne's
himself those
beard.
blues.
Bruce Wayne's beard looks fantastic in this. I don't get it. Why the beard? Why does it stick out? And his eyes, like, it's damn good. Um, I yeah, I was very impressed with that first story, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm very much interested in this way more than the next Batman.
Oh yeah, and that's why I was telling you, I'm like, I'm gonna wait on the next Batman, and even after looking through it a little bit, when you showed it to me, I was like, yeah, this is kind of whatever. But the Dark Detective stuff, I am way more invested in. The art looks way better, in my opinion. It's the sort of stuff I like. I'm a sucker for neon. Let me tell you, neon pinks, oranges, blues. Put those things together, like this book does. Ooh, baby, I'm in love with that sort of aesthetic. And then even it's not the thing about this is that it's not super in depth with anything. It kind of gives you a basis for the way that Gotham is working right now with the magistrate and what's going on. I don't even. Does this book even say that masks are outlawed, or are you just supposed to know that from context and other issues?
No, it says something about the mask.
Okay, so
Um,
then maybe probably in the first issue of all the like books that take place in Gotham, there's probably going to be something that's like masks are outlawed in case you didn't pick up on that. But it's very, it's incredibly simple. Like the thing that happens in this book is Bruce Wayne mopes around for a bit, then saves someone in an alley from getting like mugged or something like that, and then he has to run away from the magistrate trying to pick him up because he's wearing a mask. He's being Batman. You're not allowed to be Batman. And then he gets injured, goes to a doctor, and heals himself, and then he goes back out, and that's it. Like, it's very A to B to C, and that's it. That's your baseline for the first issue of Dark Detective. But
Yeah,
it works.
there's nothing crazy about it. It was more interesting figuring out like what Bruce Wayne's kind of like mentality looks like, and like just how he's doing in this new Gotham. And definitely like the feel of the book made it feel like he was old. Like he's like, oh man, I'm getting too old for this shit.
It does sort of feel like that. But
Like
he's
when
not like
he
too
tries to
old.
like,
It's not like Dark Knight Returns stuff.
oh no, no, but like when he grappling hooks and like messes up and like flies into like the neon sign, like there was a couple of moments where he just like kept messing up almost in the story. Like he was a little sloppy, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, he's definitely he's definitely seen better days is what is what we're getting at. But it does exactly what a first issue should do. It doesn't ram too much like world building down your throat. It works the world building into the story to make it like it's not telling you like this is the magistrate. The magistrate is an evil force that does not like people wearing masks. They came in on this date and executed this order, and now it's like it's not going through the motions of stuff like that. It comes up in the story and it kind of just weaves it through,
Hmm.
and the story is simple, so it's not you're not having to keep track of like 45 different story threads right now. um, it's just here's Bruce Wayne, here's what he's doing, he's stopping a mugging and trying not to get captured. That's it. So it's like it's a perfect ground level like entry point. So if you want to read Batman, here you go. Read this. It's great. Art's fantastic. Mwah, mwah. You even get a nice little grifter story in the back, which I
It's
didn't really care too much about, but it's
I
fine.
thought it was pointless.
Yeah. But again, we don't care about Grifter. You don't even know who Grifter is, so it's not like it's
The
anything
only
that's
important
really
thing is
special.
because Luke Fox in it is in it. That's like the only
Right.
important detail.
Yeah. So, because I think Future State really wanted to make the Fox family important with the Bat family stuff because it
Hmm.
is, I believe his name is Jace Fox, is the
Jace.
next Batman. Like, that's not even, I guess it's a spoiler if you only know the comic stuff, but DC's been promoting that for the last month and a half or something like that now. Like they're not keeping it a secret from the public. They're just like, yeah, this is the new Batman character, and everyone's like, okay. And I think that also takes away from the next Batman book because I feel like that mystery would have been like intriguing to see what's
Hmm.
going on. But I guess they don't care that much. They're just like, whatever.
What do you think of this suit in air quotes that he has on this bat suit?
The tactical, the tack bat suit.
Oh yeah, with
I
the
love it.
spray paint
Oh,
bat
dude,
logo, which is badass.
it's so nice. There is a suit in the new 52. I believe it's year zero. Um, hang on, I'm just looking it up real quick. New 52 Batman year zero. Give me that real quick. Year ZER 0, and then we go to image. Yeah, it's this one. So there is a um, it's a storyline that takes place during Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's run in the New 52. It's like their origins of Batman sort of a thing, and so the Riddler takes over the city, and he doesn't have access to all of his stuff. So Batman just puts on like a T-shirt, spray paints on his bat symbol, puts on gloves and like makeshift gloves and gauntlets and stuff like that, and then rides a motorcycle around. And he doesn't have a cape either, so it's like it's the same foundation of the suit that he has now, except he has the back gauntlets with the little spikes like blades coming out the wrists, and he has instead of like a t-shirt, it's an actual. It looks like a Kevlar vest or something. It's like it's
Yeah,
a tactical vest or something that he's wearing with the bat symbol spray painted on. I love it. I love that kind of like the tactical bare bones Batman design. I I fucking love it. It looks awesome,
I very much agree with you.
especially when Dan Moore is drawing it because then, ooh baby, it's so good.
Yeah, this thing was very much enjoyable, and I will say the Batman Soul the Dragon promotion on the back of it really has me interested.
Ooh yeah, I'm intrigued by that as well. Uh, all right. What about the? Which one do we want to talk about? Let's
Justice
talk.
League.
Yeah. What did you think about that one?
I think art is, I would say, fine on to more leaning towards the side of good.
Hmm.
Um, like the Dark Detective art, I loved. This was like I just didn't complain about it. I thought it was fine. Um, I like the relationship, the or I guess the minimal relationship that these Justice League characters have, because that's one of the themes of the story is the fact that um, the new rules put in by the old Justice League is that while in the just members of the Justice League shouldn't really be like I guess friends, it should be more like a work thing,
Yeah,
like a
you don't
work life
socialize.
balance. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't socialize as much. It's just sort of like this is your job, and to protect all of you, you're not supposed to know each other's secret identities, so no one can like capture one person and then get the info on the rest of the team. It's just you come together to stop these big things, and then after that, you then disband and go back to your own lives.
which I found I thought that was a really interesting aspect that had add into it, because you can see that for some of the people in the story it works. Like the girl who's Green Lantern,
Yeah,
she's very much like all business, but Superman very much wants to have a relationship with these people and wants to try and grow the Justice League. And it just seems like the other people in the league just aren't about it. They just don't want to do it. Um,
yeah, which
yeah.
is perfectly in character for Superman, even though this isn't Clark, this is his son John.
Hmm.
But he's very much like his father in that he's an optimist, and he wants to he it's kind of sad because you can tell he's actually kind of lonely. Like
Oh
he
yeah,
works with these people and he wants to have what I guess his dad had, where it was like Batman and Wonder Woman were friends, and he was friends with all the other members of the league. And now he's doing this something similar. He's like, I have a Justice League, but we're not family. We're not even friends, really. It's kind of really shaky with a lot of the stuff. Um, and there's some stuff with villains in the beginning that then get murked immediately, and that's kind of like the inciting incident that gathers all the Justice League members together, comprising. So it's John Kent Superman,
hmm,
Yara Flor Wonder Woman. I like the interaction between Yara and John, how
oh
they're
me too.
yeah, they're almost friends, but Yara still seems like kind of an asshole to him.
Definitely
Um,
apprehensive towards him.
yeah, like you can tell Yara is kind of like I also kind of want to be friendly, especially with John because John just seems like such a good person, and maybe some other things. Ooh, do the little eyebrow raise, but I don't know. There's like no hint of that, but they always do that sort of stuff where Wonder Woman and Superman are a couple, and everyone's like, yeah, it makes so much sense. They're super powered, yay. Um, but so it's John, it's Yara. You have the new African American woman Green Lantern from Far Sector, whose name I cannot remember. I haven't read her book in a very long time. I'm just waiting for the trade at this point. Then you have Aquaman and Mira's daughter as like the Aqua person of the team, and then you have what's Flash, who is from seemingly another Earth and is also one of the only. I believe they are gender fluid. They're either gender neutral or gender fluid. They don't like they say it in promotional stuff where they're like, we have this LGBTQ character in a mainline book. It's only gonna last for like 2 issues, but hey, we have one, yay! Uh, but that's like the new Flash sort of a thing. So they have 5 characters, and then all 5 characters get abducted, and you're like, oh my god, what's happening? And then it turns out the I don't do you even remember what the name of the team is that abducts them?
The Hyper Clan.
Yeah, there you go. I think HyperClan was a thing. I don't know, but they are made up of white Martians. Do you know what white Martians are in the DC universe?
No, I do not.
So, do you know who Martian Manhunter is?
Yes.
He is, I believe, a white Martian or a green Martian. I can't remember. But it's one of like the Martian Manhunter species sort of things. So they can like shapeshift and they can like phase through things and like it's like a Superman, but stronger. But they're also weak to fire. So that's like their kryptonite.
Interesting. Yeah, like I said, the actual story, like I wasn't too interested by the villains part of the story and the fact that it's like, oh, like the whole promotional thing is gonna be like the Justice League are gonna have to fight themselves. And I'm
Dun
like,
dun dun.
oh, that sounded really good.
I want to make a soundboard of just all the different things that I do, and then I can just remake them.
Um, on that note, what I was saying was that this actual story, like with the villains, I'm not too invested in. I could care less. I found it more interesting the relationship or lack thereof of the Justice League members.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
yeah, that's what I would say.
All right, and then moving on, did you read Justice League Dark in the Back?
Oh yeah, I like that way more than the actual uh, Future State Justice League.
The Justice League Dark, for whatever reason, I love it. It's this run ever since Dark Knight's Metal when who was the first one that James Tynion, the guy who's writing the current Batman run, he
Hmm.
picked up Justice League Dark and started it. And so the team was Wonder Woman, Man Bat, Bobo the Chimp, Zatanna, and Swamp Thing with a five. Yeah, those are the five. And then John Constantine showed up and joined, and Doctor Fate showed up and joined for a little bit. Um, and that was like Justice League Dark has been really good, and I'm happy because this. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be, but this version of Justice League Dark that we get in Future State is still a continuation of that, just many years on. And so Wonder Woman is missing because of death metal. Remember, she ascended to be like a god or some crap.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know where the others are. Again, Swamp Thing is in his own book, but that takes place in like a different time. Um, Constantine is there. So the characters there are Boba the Chimp and Zatanna. Those are like the main two. And then they meet up with John
Ragman.
Constantine, Ragman. That's right. He wasn't on the team before, so that was cool to see. I've
I think
only
he's
ever
awesome.
seen, yeah, I've only ever seen Ragman in what was it? Arrow, I think, was the CW show that had him. Um, so I've only ever seen him in a TV show. I've never seen Ragman in the comics, and seeing how he's portrayed here, I'm like, this is kind of cool. Um, and then also Bobo now has Etrigan the Demon, which is insane. Something happened to Jason Blood apparently. Um, I probably just said a lot of things that you don't understand. Exactly. So Jason Blood and is a man who was bound to the demon Etrigan. Um, it's been like I think he lives for like hundreds of years because of like a curse or something like that. I don't know, but that's like who Etrigan normally is, and so Etrigan can only speak in rhymes. That's kind of like the little thing that his character does.
Mm.
And the way you summon him is you say, "Gone, gone, the form of man, arise, the demon Etrigan." And that's how Jason Blood would transform. And I love that Bobo has his own form of that kind of mantra to summon Etrigan, where he goes, "Gone, gone, the simian, rise, the demon Etrigan." I'm like, oh, that's cool that you managed to like twist it a little, it's that little bit so that it's now Bobo instead of Jason Blood. But I'm intrigued. What happened to Jason Blood?
Yeah, it's. I'm looking at that page right now where Etrigan is saying, one of the like the last thing he says is, and so I could tell you the truth about Jason Blood. So I'm assuming next issue we find out.
Right, yeah. Um, I hope so because there's only one more issue of Future State Justice League Dark, so intrigued to see that. And then at the end of all this, the plot in this isn't really anything insanely special. It's just sort of like Zatanna and Bobo are trying to find other characters because Merlin is like killing magic users or something like that. Um, so they're trying to stop him, and so Etrigan and Bobo and Zatanna meet up with Constantine and Madame Xanadu, who's just some other magic user, and they all find this old man who has kind of like been threaded throughout the story, and he's like, "I'm an important character, you'll see." Ooh. And sure enough, in the end, Etrigan shows like comes out and he sees the old man, and he's like, "Aha, clever girl!" And then he blows fire on the old man. And everyone's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And it reveals, "Haha, Doctor Fate." And then Doctor Fate's, "I'm going to be important in the next issue," and then the issue ends. So
I
that's what
did kind
happens.
of like that ending. I thought that was pretty cool with the fire going on him and then he transforms. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it is cool. It's very you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Fullbringer when
Oh
he
yeah.
gets I don't remember any of their names. Main baddie from the last arc of the anime Bleach gets sliced by the villain's sword, and he can like implant memories and stuff like that. And then when he does it to who the main character thinks is his friend, it just reawakens his memories, and he's like, "Haha, I'm actually the real big bad guy, and this was my friend." So it's like that where Doctor Fate was like, I had to hide myself, and by to fully hide myself, I had to make myself believe I was this old man or whatever, and he does. And then Etrigan is like, "Oh, I can fix you," and then he does, and you're like, "Oh, cool." So that's what happens in that book. It's good. Art is pretty good in that book too.
So
Um,
now we have Green Lantern.
oh boy,
Poopy,
I
poopy,
was.
poopy, poopy, poopy,
It's
poopy.
so terrible.
It's actually terrible. Like
It's honestly incredibly bad.
the first story is terrible.
The first story is absolute dog shit. I hated it. The heads are way too big. The bodies are insanely stocky. And honestly, could you understand what the characters were saying?
No, I like there. It seemed to be like such this emotional thing was happening, but really just the main Green Lantern was being an asshole and being arrogant and be like, no, we're sticking to the plan, stick to the plan. And then the commander's like, everybody's dying. He's like, I don't give a shit. And it was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the dumbest thing ever.
And the stuff that they're saying, like they're saying a bunch of alien words. And so like how I praise Dark Detective for threading in like world building and like the rules of the Gotham that you're in right now. It did that very well, and you got it through context and stuff like that. Um, this book says no thank you to world building and feels like it kind of just throws you in at like chapter 12. And there's just sort of like, yeah, we established the jargon that the characters were going to use a couple issues ago. We established the races that were going to be the alien races that were going to be present, and like the battles that were going to be going on. We already established that like a dozen issues ago. So now we're just in some battle, and characters are just saying shit, and you don't know what any of it means.
Yeah, it. I don't even. There's nothing even else to talk about besides it was complete shit. And I'm the type
Yeah,
of person like it's one of those things where like when I can listen to a song or watch a movie or maybe even like read a book and I know myself well enough to know like okay I really didn't like this or like this wasn't good because there is a difference between like everybody has their own opinion and everything but sometimes things just really aren't good like Dragon Ball Evolution not good.
depends on on what you're watching it for, though. It definitely depends.
But yeah, this there was I just couldn't wait for this to be over. I literally was like holding the book and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, is every page this story?
Yeah, no, I was trying to like with Dark Detective. I was sitting at my bedside. It was about to go to bed, and I was like, I'll read this issue. It was the night that you came. I was like, all right, I'll sit here and I'll read this, and I'll go to bed with this. That one, I was turning the pages, but I was doing it real slowly. I was savoring it. I was taking in the story and the art. I was like, ooh, mwah, so nice. This one, I couldn't turn the pages fast enough to get through. I was
Almost
like,
ripped it.
please. Yeah, I don't think of all these books, that one ain't gonna be worth shit in like 20 years.
What
So
about this
whatever.
second story?
With Jessica Cruz,
Oh yeah.
that was the best one of the bunch, but it was still, if it was like subpar and whatever. Like I
I
didn't
like the
care.
art a lot.
The art was better. It still looked weird. Like I've come to know, again, Green Lantern is probably the series that I have the most books on, like even more than Batman. So I've seen a couple different renditions of all these characters, and I have my personal favorites. But the way they're drawn in here, it seems like someone took the art for like all of these issues or all of the stories in the Green Lantern issue, and just squeezed the bodies into like pop figure form, where like big
They
heads
opened it
and
up in
stocky
Microsoft
bodies.
Word and just minimized.
Yeah, they didn't shift click and then drag to keep standard dimensions. They were just sort of like, this is a little too tall. Let's just shrink it a bit. Like they grabbed the page and they just shrunk it a bit, and like, okay, good. It only changed the art a little bit, so we're fine. And then they just went to print. But it's so weird, and the story is so whatever. It also seems like it just said end at the end of this one. It didn't say to be continued. It was just like, this is just a one-off. Just it features Jessica Cruz, who's a Green Lantern from Earth, and she has a cool story, like a cool backstory. It's like in one of the Justice League runs from the New 52, but it just ends with her all of a sudden instilling great fear in Lisa Drake, who's like the villain that she's facing off against. And then she gets like a Yellow Lantern ring, and I'm just like, ¿por qué? It just doesn't. I don't understand why. Whatever. Moving on to Guy, the Book of Guy Gardner.
What this dude is the broest bro I have ever freaking read about.
Oh, dude, you have. There's literally in one of the comics that I showed you when you came over. I like leafed through to show you some of the art for Sandoval for Teen Titans stuff. Literally in that book, there's a scene where Guy has been captured by the Yellow Lantern Corps, like the bad guys, and they've taken his ring, so he's depowered. And when they take off his ring, because the suit forms when you have the ring, when they take it off, he's just naked, and everyone's like, "Don't you have any clothes?" And he's like, "Nah, bro, my boxers get all jumbled up underneath the suit. Of course I'd go like full 8 man and like when I'm wearing the Green Lantern ring." And they're like, what? And they're trying to interrogate him, and while they're interrogating him, he like breaks out a beer from somewhere that he kept it stored, and he necks the entire beer and then crushes the can on his head before saying like, "You're never gonna get information out of me." Guy Gardner is the most jock bro you are ever going to find in comics.
I love how in the story, like a good amount of time passes. What is it, 25 years, and he actually gets fatter. Like you can actually see him put on
Yeah,
weight.
you see it in his neck a lot. Like his neck gets a little bit fatter.
Oh yeah, he gets like the double chin, and yeah, this story was weird. I was like, okay, I'm like the only thing I like about this is the comedy.
Yeah, that's really it. And even then, it's like you could have told this story in 9 panels, like a single page Watchmen style nine
Oh
panel
yeah,
grid, where it's like guy shows up, two civilizations are fighting, and then he's like, "Hey, stop fighting," and then they're like, "Oh, you are a prophet," and he's like, "What?" And then he gets stranded on this planet because his ring stops working, and I guess no one bothers to come and find him. Um, oh, actually, that might be part of the overarching
the
story
yeah,
because
that's
the
what
Green
I
Lanterns
thought.
disappeared. Right.
Hmm.
Okay. That makes sense actually. So that's fine. But then it's just him, and he's like, it's just going through the years as he's making, as this jock bro is
He's
making
making
diplomatic
society
decisions. Yeah, exactly. And then it ends with,
our favorite.
we're, yeah, it ends with, we're together and at peace. And then somebody's just like, but what if it's a lie? And then everything just breaks out into chaos again.
But our favorite character shows up right at the end, Joe.
Uh, he does remind me who our favorite character is. It's not
Lobo.
Tempest. Oh, that's right. Lobo shows up and he's just like, haha, I'm the main man here. And they're like, ooh, another prophet. And Guy Gardner is like, all of that hard work is for nothing.
Yeah. Green Lantern book. I,
Bad.
I, yeah.
Very
Joe,
bad.
Joe, Joe says it how it is.
Yeah, don't save your money. Don't buy the Future State Green Lantern books. Go back and buy the Jeff Johns run and then the Robert Venditti run that follows that up. All great. Literally, there's like 20 years of Green Lantern story that you can read. Read any of that. Don't read this. And then we want to talk about Teen Titans, but we haven't read that yet because someone hasn't gotten it.
Let me speak about this real quickly.
Okay, you have 60 seconds.
No, come on. I need give me like a good 3 minutes.
58, 57,
No.
56. You're burning time. Go.
Okay. So, the Joes got together last week. And maybe we'll speak about that more at the end. But the Joes were together. The world didn't explode. But when I was meeting the other Joe, I was supposed to grab all these comics. I didn't because I planned my days too tightly. And I need more wiggle room. So, I had to wait like 3 days to get these comics. And when I go to get them, my main comic shop only had the Blade Runner comic, which we'll talk about shortly. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta go to the other comic shop like 20 minutes away to pick up comics. Go there. Teen Titans is missing. The only book I wanted to actually read in this series, where it was like, I am doing whatever I can to get this book, and both places it sold out. I wanted to cry. Like, when I finally get this book, which we'll also talk about in a couple of minutes, Joe, I think I'm trying to think of like when you've seen me really emotional over like, I don't know, pop culture, I guess. And the one time I can really imagine it or remember it is when we watched the Adventure Time finale.
Oh,
And
yes.
when you saw my reaction when like Marceline and Bubblegum kissed, like that was the most natural, raw version of me nerding out possible. Like that's how I'm probably gonna react to this comic. Like once I see Red X, I am going to be jumping up and down. Like my heart is going to race. Like there's just simple things like that that really get me going. And it's like the fact that I wasn't able to get it pissed me off so much. And I had to order. I saw they had a little sign at our comic shop where it's like they put it in the very back of all the comics so that when they sold out, it says, ha ha ha, this comic sold out. Go to the front to order the second pressing or whatever. So I ordered the second pressing, but it doesn't come out for 3 weeks. And that was the main thing we wanted to talk about in this. But it's good to have another Joe, and the other Joe saved my ass. Joe, what did you do?
I am holding.
Oh, that's good.
I am holding a second copy of Future State Teen Titans #1, written by Sheridan, art by Sandoval and Tarragona. Variant cover by Dustin Wynn, whom I've had sign one of my sketchbooks at the only Comic-Con I've ever been to. Yeah, because Joe messaged me about all this after he had left my dwelling, and he was just like, dude, the only one missing is the Teen Titans. And you asked me, clear my throat, sorry. You asked me, like next week when I go in to get my comics, if I could find one and pick you up one. And I was like, yeah, sure. And it was like 5 minutes after I sent that message, and I was just like, what am I doing today? And I looked at my very, very, very busy schedule, and I saw I had a slight opening from the moment you sent that text until when classes started up in about 2 weeks' time. And I was like, I'll just go get it right now. And so I went to my local comic shop, and I go in. Joe, guess how many issues were left of Teen Titans when I got there?
Oh, was there only one?
It's not that dramatic. There were two. I picked up this one. And then I looked, I was curious. I was like, do they have variant issues behind it? Because the stack on the wall was quite thick. And so I picked this up, and there was one behind it. Behind that, random books. And I was like,
Oh
damn.
my God.
So this was one of two issues left remaining. And so I bagged it, I boarded it, I put a nice little piece of painter's tape on the front of the bag that said for Joe C. That way I always remembered um, which one this was, and all that sort of stuff. I need to do that because I opened up mine just to like look at like the first two pages or whatever. I was just like, ooh, and I was looking at the artwork and I'm like, this one has not, to my knowledge, been opened. So it's unopened, bagged and boarded, waiting for you to get your grubby little mitts on it. So
And I'm excited because the Joes are going to be meeting up for a second time in 2 weeks, which
woo!
mind blowing. The world might actually end. If it
You're
didn't
welcome.
happen the first time, it's happening this time. And next week, we're going to be able to talk about that Teen Titans comic. And I might scream like a little girl because I am so excited to actually read this thing.
Yeah. Um, you and me both. I'm excited to read it. I don't have that much of a connection to Red X like you do, but I have a very strong connection. Like I love Teen Titans and I love Sandoval's artwork, so I'm very intrigued to see how like he actually draws all of these characters. So we might even be able to dedicate like actually I don't even know what comics are coming out next week, but I guarantee you most of the comic talking time will be devoted to the Teen Titans book. We'll probably just be nerding out about that.
A good 80% of it will. Next week's comics are Future State Immortal Wonder Woman, Future State The Next
Uh-huh.
Batman, and Future State Nightwing.
Right, yeah, those are. I'll probably pick up all three of those. There's a bunch more like Superman War of the Worlds and Catwoman,
Yeah,
but
didn't really
whatever.
have a desire for those.
Yeah, Future State Shazam. Yeah, yeah, whatever. We got the ones that we know we're gonna be going for, and that's it. All right.
I'm
Did
going to
you
talk
want to talk
about Blade
about?
Runner for 2 minutes.
Yeah, go.
All right, let me tell you. I am actually so happy I started reading this series. I love the quality of the books. I love the way it feels. The art, I love it because it reminds me so much of Blade Runner. Like, not just the way the world looks, but the actual style of the art. It looks like what I would imagine a Blade Runner cartoon to look like. And the paneling's great. It's really simple paneling, but I like simple paneling. And this was a great follow up. It answered some questions from the first issue because at the end of the first issue, um, the main Blade Runner in this story um, was hunting down a replicant at like this work site, and he like when she cornered him, he like jumped off and he got like impaled by like these spikes, so he killed himself. And you find out in the second issue they brought him to the morgue, and the morgue says he wasn't a replicant, that he's human. That there's no sign, like when they look at his eye, there's no code or anything like that. And it's and she keeps talking about like this itch she has, like something's up that doesn't seem right. And the rest of the book is a little bit more development of kind of her psyche and what's going on. The fact that like everybody's kind of telling her, like, oh, just let it go, but she can't really like let it go. Like she has this itch that she wants to just keep. She it's gonna bother her until she finds out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's not
Um,
like Elsa, you know.
and she basically spends the rest of the book trying to get some more info. You also find out, which I was a little confused about in the first issue, that but it's clarified here that she lives with a replicant, um, a female one, and I guess they're partners. Um, which I couldn't tell that in the first issue. I thought that her partner was a man, and I thought it was a human. But then turns both of those things were wrong. And
It might be a holdover from the previous run because again, this is a sequel to the first 12 issue thing that they did, so that might be a holdover from that.
yeah, and the book ends with her finding another replicant, and it the replicant that she found also didn't have like any code or anything like that. And basically the last line says like uh what is it? She goes, so the itch ask, where are they all coming from? meaning these replicants that she's finding that aren't kind of labeled. And the final
Right.
panel is all these like rows and rows of tubes with replicants in them. Um, so it looks like someone's creating replicants um, by themselves without like the Tyrell Corporation, um, which is
Whoa.
very interesting. And I believe they're hinting that a the replicant that got away in the first issue is the one that is creating all these. That's what I think they're hinting at, and I'm actually really, really interested in that story because a replicant creating other replicants sounds actually really, really cool.
That's really cool, and also like philosophically could open up plenty of questions and make people think a lot. Considering that it's always in the films, it's always sort of like humans make replicants, and then humans hunt down rogue replicants. Replicants always are programmed to die, and you always know what a replicant is. And then even in 2049, where it's like sometimes they can be born, or like in the one instance they can be born,
Question
and
mark?
exactly question mark. Um, and then there's like a line in 2049 where it's like we're trying to hold back the tide with a broom, in the sense of humans are the top of the hierarchy, replicants are below them. If a replicant can create replicants, which I guess it's not the same as a replicant giving birth to another being,
But
because
to
at
have
that
that
point, is a
power,
replicant exactly? It's definitely it's ripe for storytelling. I'll say that. I might start picking up the issues of this series. I don't know. I'm curious about reading it, but I definitely want to read the rest of the first series. Like I need to find all the trades of that and get into that. But that is cool. I am intrigued.
yeah, I think it's very cool. And well, now that we got through all the bullshit, let's let's get down to the meat of things, Joe.
Let's get down to brass tacks here, Joe.
What does that even mean? Brass tacks? Like why? Who picked that?
Um, there's probably a here. I have Google right in front of me, real quick. We just said we're not going to bullshit, but here's some more bullshit. Origins of the term. Let's get down to brass tacks.
Your keyboard sounds very nice.
Oh, thank you. According to one, brass-headed tacks were used in the foundation of chairs, so when you went to reupholster them, the tacks were the last thing you, in quotes, got down, end quotes, to, after removing the covering and stuffing. Hence, that's when craftsman was really getting to the heart of the matter. Well, there you go.
Ooh, wow.
There's a
Okay, I like that.
little bit of knowledge for your brain. All right, now let's actually get down to brass tacks. Attack on Titan, season 4, episode, is it 6?
6. I messed up
6.
last week.
Okay. Yeah, I was confused. I was like, what is it? It was 5 last week. It's 6 this week. Um, what's the name of the episode?
The Warhammer Titan.
Yes. The Warhammer Titan. Holy Christ. Joe, yes, last week when we said that, whatchamacallit, the roller coaster was ticking up and the end of the episode was us getting over the crest of the first
And,
thing,
and the pot was boiling and it was ready
and the
to
pot was boiling.
overflow.
We were on, not to pat ourselves on the backs or kiss our asses or anything. We were right
Mwah.
on the money. Oh my god, we're
We
in
just we
now.
just we missed a couple of loop-de-loops. but but man, we knew what we were in for. Actually, we didn't know what we had an idea that we were in for a roller coaster, but we didn't realize that we were going on Steel Force at night blindfolded.
We didn't realize we were going fucking King to Ka, baby. Let's go. This thing just like everything else, the entire first 5 episodes was us. We got on King to Ka. Joe, have you ever been on King to Ka?
No.
Okay, well then follow me down this rabbit hole of a metaphor, will you, real quickly?
Sounds good.
We got on King to Ka, and then they had us lying like they were in the carts. That was the first like 2 episodes. Then episode 3, 4, and 5 was us the cart moving up to the launch position. Episode 5 ended with the locks on our carts unhooking from the track, and then episode 6 starts and it's fucking the cart is shooting at 100 miles an hour towards the rest of the coaster, which is just the one giant shoom all the way up, and then you get to the top, and then it comes down and corkscrews, and then you end. It's really fast, though, is what I'm getting at, and really powerful, and that's what episode 6 is. Oh my god, I'm in love with this final season. It's doing so much so right.
It's so nice seeing all this years of watching this show, seeing it all come together. Like, I if they can stick the landing with this thing, man. But I'm getting ahead of myself because
Right.
we were super hyped with the end of the last episode, and the
Uh-huh.
beginning of this one doesn't start with the action. It starts actually with a very small backwards time jump, and you find out a little bit that the Tiber family, when they were planning this whole event, you find out that they were actually kind of anticipating an attack.
At least
They,
William was.
yeah, William was like, okay, but also he was telling the military guy, like, it sounded like they had some idea that something was going on at Paradise Island, and that apparently they also had intel that Paradise Island had supporters over in Marley. But the way
Yeah.
they explain it, it makes it sound like that they had more like, it was more like sympathizers, like, oh, Marleyan people that live in Marley and wanted to help out the Paradise Islands people. They had no clue that people from Paradise were actually in the city. At least that's the vibe I got. Would you agree?
I thought that they, like when Willie and I had to call him William Tiber, otherwise I can't take him seriously. And he's a very like he's a powerful
Regal,
character and like
regal man.
political, yeah, regal. So William Tiber, when he's talking with Commander Magath, who's like the leading general of the Marleyan forces, I got the sense that they had intel that they were Paradise Islanders that had infiltrated Marley. Like that's what I thought had happened. But either way, they knew that they were Paradise, like pro Paradise Island people
Yes.
amongst them, and they knew that during this the declaration of war that William Tiber was about to give, he was prepared to give his life, and he knew that he was probably going to die giving this final declaration of war. And
Yeah.
he was right.
Yeah, exactly. And so, okay, so we got different vibes off of that conversation, but pretty much the same message that they have some intel that, okay, looks like there's some sympathizers or supporters of the Paradise Island people. We need to be aware they might try and attack or cause a situation to happen during this declaration of war, during this big speech that William's going to give. And basically, they make the decision like, you need to be prepared to attack them because this is going to, and pretty much William says, like, I'm going to have to die to make the rest of the world mad at the people on the island, which I've seen this a couple times before in different stories, books I've read, where like the sacrificial lamb to be like, I have to die so that people have a reason to fight for.
Right.
Where Willie's gonna be like, okay, I'm this really well respected person. If I die, if these Paradise Island devils kill me, everybody's gonna want to get together to kill them.
Exactly, because he's also a an Eldian, so it's like it's not they're not like, and that he makes a point of saying that he's like, I have to die. Like if other people die and I live, that will look terrible. But if I also die, it will be like a rallying cry to be like, all right, these guys are all monsters. Everyone else needs to join forces to fight back the devils of Paradise Island.
Yeah, and it's very interesting how different the Eldians of Marley are from the Paradise Island natives, and how that a lot of the Eldians in Marley really do believe that they're devils, and like they fully believe that they're like like we're bad people, and like our blood is terrible. Like William knows, like he's like, look, I'm a devil. He's like, and I hate these other devils. Like we got to kill them, and it's really weird to think about that, because you would think that maybe they would have some sympathy towards the Paradise Island people.
Yeah, well, it's also the idea of them, like we see this a little bit in some of the episodes in season 3, part 2, episode 479.9345. We see in the flashbacks how, like, Aaron's father was taught Eldians are bad. and we need to live our lives knowing that we have sinned as a people and we will be punished for the rest of our lives because of what our ancestors have done. And so it's understandable because obviously they have them all in these like internment camps, and this is what they're brought up learning. It's like you are shit because of what your people have done, therefore you are shit. Like from the past they did terrible things, so that makes you terrible now, which any like sane person living in 2020 would be like, no, that's not how that works at all. Um, but it's like that's the way that it's been taught to them. Um, and it's interesting seeing Tiber uh, think of himself like that because I believe he was probably also taught the same thing because he's
Hmm.
still a inhabitant of the
Yeah.
Marleyan country, um, and that's probably how like they were able to gain power because of the story they fabricated with King Fritz and all that sort of stuff, and so they have influence that way, and also staying in the good graces of the Marleyan government and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's also more interesting seeing how Commander Magath reacts to this information because he's sort
Mm.
of like he's apprehensive to do it, where it almost seems like he's growing a conscience, or at least, if not a respect for the Eldian people he's sacrificing. He doesn't like the idea of just sacrificing people in general,
Yeah.
um, but he comes to terms with it and he understands what William is trying to do, and he extends his hand for the handshake at the end of them formulating this plan, and he's like, "What a pair of devils are we?" And it's just like, "Yeah, you guys are both bad." It's like they're doing bad actions, but you kind of understand why they're doing these bad, terrible actions. Um, and then smash cut right back to the end of episode 5,
In like
um,
slow mo,
in slow
almost.
mo.
Yeah.
I thought for a bit, I was like, I wonder if William is actually the Warhammer Titan.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and that him being crushed, he'd survive, and then he'd transform or whatever. Um,
Nope.
After why, obviously not. And also, like with the context of him trying to be the martyr, it makes much more sense that he wouldn't have been the Attack Titan or the Warhammer Titan. Excuse me. Um, but yeah, so he gets eaten by Aaron almost immediately. Aaron looks at all of the like the high up commanders and people of power, and he just belly flops onto them real quick. He's like, "You're all dead." And then William Tybert, his sister, right?
Yeah, the sister.
Yeah, his sister comes out and she's just like, "God damn it, brother, you were right." And then she transforms into the Warhammer Titan. But
Wow.
before she finishes transforming, Aaron's just on her, pummeling her skull into the ground. And Joe, we'll talk about it very soon. There were several moments where I was like squealing like a little girl in my chair. This was one of them. I was like, "Yeah, yeah!"
Dude,
Punch, 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 punch.
I loved how I think it was the first podcast when we were, or maybe it was the second one, but when we were talking about, you're like, oh, like I feel like Aaron's gonna go ape shit and kill everybody, and like I'm not sure how I feel about that. And once I saw him kind of take a second to pause to look at all those commanders, because plenty of civilians are already dead with all the rubble that fall on them, but
Oh yeah, Sophia, one of the little kids that was with
squashed like a
Falco
bug.
and yeah, and Gabby, completely crushed under the rubble, and then Udo gets trampled. Udo gets got in this episode, and it's horrifying to look at.
Dude, yeah, the gore and horror in this was used perfectly. Like,
Hmm.
oh my god. And
Well, because
once
you
I
know
you
why.
go, you go.
It's obviously, thank you. It is a complete parallel to the breaking of the wall in episode 1.
Yes, exactly. That's what I would thank you for bringing it up, Joe. Everything's coming full circle.
Yeah.
And just seeing Aaron just go ham on all the military people, I'm like, wow. I'm like he's finally like getting his release almost.
Hmm.
Like he probably actually feels like he's getting revenge now, and it's so weird to root for him because the show makes you question, like, okay, he's killing all these people in a very gruesome way, and Mikasa brings it up, like, Aaron, like, do you realize what you've done? You killed children,
Yeah, well,
families, like all these things, and Aaron's just like, they did the same to us.
yeah, like we're skipping ahead a little bit, but that was what I wanted to ask. Like, are you rooting for Aaron right now? Because I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think I am.
Oh, I'm big time rooting. I have no problem. Everybody's gonna realize I'm just a complete asshole.
they
Um,
they murked my boy, and now I'm gonna
I
I'm
really
gonna.
don't have much sympathy. I want, yeah, I loved it. I was like, hell yeah! Like I was
Mm,
so happy that they didn't, um, almost like try and make it clean, like, oh, like let them go or whatever, or like maybe just like throw a rock at them. The fact that they went, that's what I love about this. Attack on Titan goes all in. When they show you gore, they show you gore. They don't, when they kill off somebody, they fucking kill the person. And when Aaron fucking went in and just started ripping these people apart, I I loved it. And I know that sounds messed up, but I loved it.
oh no, I completely agree because I like again. I was just saying when Aaron started pummeling the Warhammer Titan, I was I was all in. I was squealing like a little girl in my chair. I was going crazy. I was like, this is great. Like thinking about it, I'm like, ooh, because then also he gets got by the Warhammer Titan who just sends a massive spike through his abdomen.
I
Um,
jumped out of my couch. I was like, holy shit.
yeah, it was insane. Like I had no idea what the Warhammer Titan was capable of because I don't read manga or like follow spoilers or anything. So I was just sort of like, what is happening? And you learn later on that the Warhammer Titan is the best Titan with the Titan with the best hardening ability because it can just use hardening to create whatever it wants.
Makes a
It's like a
goddamn
Green Lantern.
crossbow.
Yeah, I was like, you can just make a crossbow with your hardening skill. Like what? Um, that seems a little, but we'll leave that for right now.
Joe, if you can hear me.
Like the Warhammer Titan rips the arms off and the head just comes falling down.
Yeah. It the Warhammer Titan, I love the design. Like I think it I would say it looks beautiful is
It
how I would describe it.
does. It almost kind of like it almost seems a little too far removed from the standard Titan design. Like the Attack Titan obviously looks like just a regular Titan, but it's got much more character and more muscle definition. The Armored Titan and the Colossal Titan look pretty cool. The female Titan just looks like a combination of armored and attack. Beast Titan, I guess, was the most different looking Titan that we've seen thus far. And then Cart and Jaw are again pretty similar. But I can see why the Warhammer Titan is considered to be, something so different and special because it looks way different. Its abilities are way more powerful than seemingly others. But it does have one other interesting attribute, which we'll get to in a second because chronology. So when Aaron gets got by the Warhammer Titan, he kind of reveals himself. He comes out of his attack Titan, and the I love the line. It's the stereotypical any last words, Aaron Yeager. Like they all know Aaron Yeager is the usurper who has taken the founding Titan power. And Aaron's just like, now or never, Mikasa. And that was the next point when I was squealing in my chair because the epic music starts playing, and
Oh
then you
yeah.
just hear the ODM gear, and you're like, yes, 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 yes. And
Yes,
she
when I heard the
fucking
ODM
comes
gear,
in.
I was freaking out. And honestly, the song that was playing in my head is the song from Bleach. Uh, oh yeah, yeah, if you
Yeah,
wanna
you're the
get
one.
some
Some
action. Like,
action.
if that was playing, I would have been. I was still jumping, but I would have been jumping even more. Oh my
Hmm.
God, they finally come out of the shadows. The new uniforms, badass as hell.
The
And
new uniforms are so good.
oh my God, absolutely amazing. Mikasa just fucking blows up the Nape and takes down the Warhammer Titan
Hmm.
and goes over to see Aaron. And that's says what I said earlier. Like, Mikasa says to Aaron, like, do you realize what you've done?
You
So I
can't come
guess,
back from this.
yeah, and it's interesting because it kind of seemed like their plan, like the communication wasn't completely clear because she seems a little
That's
surprised that like
that's what I
Aaron
wanted to
just
talk
blew
about.
up like a residential building.
Yeah, like it seems like they didn't even. It seems like they didn't even want Aaron to attack. They like this wasn't the plan, and Aaron just went rogue and did his own thing, and the rest of the team was just like, "What the fuck, man?" And I was like, that made me like get removed even further from Aaron. I was like, "Wait a minute, this wasn't like not everyone was on board for this. This was Aaron's idea, and he went rogue to do this."
Yeah, but also remember that Armin was part of the he was in on it because he helped um,
Yeah, he
remove
captured Jaw
the Jaw
and
and Cart Titan,
yes,
which we learned eventually the Cart Titan was pretty smart and told her her cart buddies to follow
yeah.
her, which I like that detail a lot.
Yeah, I called that. I saw that and I was like, she probably told them to follow, and then they did, and I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. And like when Mikasa finally says that to Aaron, and Aaron doesn't say anything. I think he just says,
No,
"Oh, look."
he
He
just looks
says
at her.
like, yeah, he looks at her, and I was waiting for him to say like, "Oh, they did the same thing to us." Like, but you can tell he just doesn't care. He's like,
Nah.
This is what has to get done," and I don't know if Mikasa cares either. Maybe a little bit, but by the sound of her voice, she kind of just it sounded more like, "Hey, do you realize what you're doing? Like, once we like, this is the point of no return. Like,
Yeah, but
you're either all in or you're
Mikasa's
out."
pretty much already dead inside, so a lot of the emotion in her voice is already kind of drained. So that makes sense. Um, but I also like what. So after this will tie in a second. But real quick, after Pick and Porco get saved, the Jaw and Cart Titan, not respectively, I flip them. But once they get saved, they come out and they're talking. They're like trying to formulate a plan. And then you hear the ODM gear again, and then Pick looks up and is like, "Oh!" And your
PTSD.
eye just widens as you see. Yeah, you just see the OEM gear creatures, people moving across like the reflection of her eye. I was like, I love when stories give the proper like weight to characters that you've been following for so long, and the fact that we haven't seen these guys for 6 weeks. Like the show started and it's been going, and the only character we've seen so far, like legitimately, has been Aaron, and we've only really seen Aaron for like an episode previous to this, and then episode 6 comes in, and the realization hits the Cart Titan, and she's just like, "Oh no, this is very bad." And then it's the tracking shot following, like from the first person perspective of someone in ODM gear flying across the internment zone, and they come in and they just wreck the Marleyan soldiers, and you're like, "Holy shit, this is awesome."
Oh, it's so badass. And that was definitely my favorite part of this episode was seeing the scouts again. It was so cool and the introduction of them and like you said the weight of them showing up really came across and I think that's also it also came across with when the other military people realized they were there. They're like, "Oh my God, like we had a feeling they were going to do something, but we didn't realize it was going to be this big."
Yeah, they didn't anticipate the attack Titan erupting into their declaration of war. They were like, "That's a big problem," and then I don't believe they understood the ODM gear
Oh,
fully.
not at
Like
all.
Rayner probably told them about it, but like I don't think they would have been prepared for ODM gear in general. But ODM gear with guns, they're done. It's big. Joe, imagine this real quick for me. So you are part of the U.S. military, strong military force. Not here to talk politics, just saying, imposing military force. and you're trained to use your assault rifle or whatever weapon you're trained in, and you've gotten pretty good with it. You're a soldier of war. You've maybe done a tour or two. Then you're out on patrol, maybe in, I don't know, let's say some foreign country of nondescript nature, and you're walking the streets of this foreign country with your squad, you know, guns in hand, and then you see Spider-Man swinging above you with a gun. What the fuck are you gonna do against that?
You literally can't do anything, and I love how they try and like shoot them, and they're like, "Oh, you get anything?" They're like, "Oh," they're hard to shoot, and they're so badass.
They're so badass, and the fact that I love it too because the Marlene soldiers shooting are clearly using like World War One, World War Two era
Oh
rifles
yeah.
that are semi-automatic, and you have to reload the bolt every single time after a single shot, and then re-aim. Meanwhile, these guys have Spider-Man gear and semi-automatic pistols and missiles, and it's like, what the
And
fuck are you
technically,
going to do?
and technically, they're like the less advanced people because remember,
Right.
they had when we first found out about Marley, we found out because like oh you see that like oh it's more like it's actual civilization. They're more advanced. Like they had invented blimps and boats and like these huge air like huge navy fleets, and to think that it's not just like the scouts aren't necessarily now less advanced. It's more that their evolution went down a completely different path. Instead of
Exactly.
inventing, stereotypical guns and armor, they invented the ODM gear, and somehow they were able to jump to like semi-automatic weapons.
Exactly. It's divergent evolution where it's their needs, like they needed certain things, and the Marleyan people needed different things. Like they have a lot of anti-Titan gear in the form of cannons and aircrafts and bombs and
Hmm.
things like that, as opposed to what the Paradise Island people were able to create, which was the ODM gear and the blades. And then we see in season three the introduction of ODM gear with guns, with the Kenny squad and all that sort of stuff. And they've obviously combined all that stuff and created something new in this unique hybrid. And it's awesome. And also, it's very funny seeing how their different forms of attack work. Um, so that's just something insane. Just to look at the ODM gear moving around, I it's such an integral part of the anime, of the story of the show, and seeing it finally, I didn't realize how much I missed it. If I'm being honest, I was like, "This is really good." Seeing it though, I was like, "We're back, baby."
Yeah, seeing it really hit home and being like, oh my god, like just seeing them attack, go ham, and the fact that looked like we said, like it's this mixture of it looked semi-organized, or maybe they had the plan and they just weren't ready to enact it yet, and then
I
Aaron was
think it
kind of
was
like, no,
that.
we're doing it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they were working on it, and Aaron's like, we need to strike now,
Yeah,
and
I think they were also probably trying to do it a bit more covertly. Like maybe they were going to go in and assassinate some people, and then Aaron was just like, "I'm here, bitches. Let's go."
yeah, and it's the fight with the Warhammer Titan is crazy. Um, they finally figure out how to take down the Warhammer Titan because you can't cut its nape because it's so hardened. And Aaron realizes he's like, I thought there was something weird when it transformed. It transformed from the feet up.
Right.
And I love that. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, what does that mean? And then you see like this little like umbilical cord almost trailing from its Achilles, the trailing
Hmm.
from the Warhammer's Achilles into the ground. And Aaron realizes, oh, the body's in the ground. And he just bolts over in Titan form and rips that thing out, rips off the umbilical cord. The Warhammer Titan drops to the ground. And you realize that Aaron's about to eat the Warhammer Titan,
But then,
the Jaw Titan
hmm hmm
comes
hmm
in and is like, "Hell no! I'm gonna get revenge. I've been waiting for this day." And
but then,
the scouts come in.
but which scout specifically comes in first?
Ackerman.
Fuck fucking Levi Ackerman, baby.
What I was so happy to see him because I was looking for him the whole episode. I'm like, okay, where's Levi? Where's Levi? And then he comes in and just fucks him up. And then I like the Jaw Titans dialogue being like, do they not realize I'm a Titan? Like I'm
Hmm.
a shifting Titan, and these humans are all coming to attack me, and you just see this swarm of fearless scouts going in on
Spider-Man
this
with
guy,
guns.
and the adrenaline was just up the whole time during this episode.
This was the other part where I was screaming like a girl and like shaking in my chair. I was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!" And then it fucking ends the episode on that shot. I had screamed. I actually screamed. I was like, "No, no!" I cannot wait for the next episode to premiere. I am so invested in this ride, and it's so good.
It's awesome, and I I'm just waiting for them to do like the flashback episode to kind of explain how they got here, the planning and all that, because I'm actually interested in that. But then part of me is like, no, like keep this going. I'm like, I love the roller coaster that we're on. Like this is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think I'd be fine if it was only like maybe do an episode to
Yeah,
like the backstory where it's like real brisk, like doing some of the planning, and like that'll be that. But yeah, if you devote the entire rest of the season to just progressing what's going on right now, I'm okay with that because I want to see where this goes. I want to see where Gabby goes because Gabby,
oh
very
wow,
clearly, like a second Aaron,
big
she
time.
is mad and furious, and she's going to kill everyone, especially Sasha. When she locks eyes with Sasha after Sasha murks the two guards that Gabby's with, I'm just like, there's going to be a confrontation here.
Yeah, and the fact that like Gabby's probably thinking in her head, why didn't she shoot me? Like she got that personality, like why leave me alive? Like you're gonna regret
Hmm.
leaving me alive. I'm gonna get you. And Gabby has completely gone off the deep end. Absolutely wild. Um, I was really hoping in this episode they were going to explain what happened to Reiner and Falco, but I guess we'll have to wait till later. I don't,
Yeah, we have
cause
to wait.
yeah, I don't know what happened to him. Like, that's
They
they
can't be dead.
no, no, no way. But still, it's interesting. I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, there's so many questions that I have. And the one thing, there was one line that really stuck to me, and I wanted to talk to you about this. I think it was from the perspective, I think it was from the perspective of the general, or maybe it was the one of the Titans. Once they see all the attacks going on, they talk about like, oh my goodness, like all the nations are going to be pissed at them. Like they're we're having a huge naval fleet come in. We're recruiting all these troops from the mountains that were in training. Other countries are going to want to destroy you guys, but they probably already knew that. And they say
Yeah,
that in
that
their
was.
head like, then why are they doing this? And
Yeah,
that really got me thinking like, oh my God, like what is the plan? What is the final plan of all this? And because it's not just if you take over Marley, which would be crazy, that's not the end of it. You have all their allies come in and are just going to destroy you. So I want to know, Joe, what do you think the end game is here?
I have not even the foggiest, and I am perfectly okay with that. Honestly, when it comes to stuff like this, when it comes to shows that I really enjoy or any media that I really enjoy, I don't like to think about it too much into the future because there are times where, like this happened with me with Game of Thrones, because that was a very, people like to talk and theorize about what would happen with that show. And a lot of people had some really cool theories. Um, some of them, like, were worse than what actually happened. Some of them I think would have been way cooler, but the execution is really all that matters. So I don't like to think too far into the future with a lot of this stuff. I like to just experience it. So I don't know what the plan is, but I love the fact that they're addressing it and they're setting it up to be like, okay, because obviously, like we have characters like Armin in the show who are strategic geniuses and people that understand this isn't the like this won't be the end if we just savagely beat down the Marleys and like take control of this land. There is obviously going to be fallout from this, and there must be a plan more than that. and it was Commander Maggoth when he was talking about that in his head. And when he's talking about that, I'm just like, yeah, they must have some other plan, and I'm really interested to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I have some ideas going through my head of like different theories and stuff like that. I'm not going to say them, um, but I didn't really think about that until I heard Magus say that. My whole mentality was, oh, revenge against the Marleys, but that's not the finish line. And then the question is, what is the finish line? Is there even a finish line? And I like what you said, that we don't know what the finish line is. And I am, as always, extremely excited for every single episode of Attack on Titan. And always, it sounds weird. Usually, when you say this show left me wanting more, it's like an insult, like, oh, it just didn't fill me up. No, this thing fills me up every time, and then I want dessert, and they don't give it to me. And they say, no, you gotta wait till next week till you can get your jello.
It's so very good, and I'm so happy that we always get to end. At least these first three, we've gotten to end on such a high note, in my opinion, of some of the best media that we've been consuming as of late.
Yeah, it's what a interesting bag of stuff we are talking about today. Between magical penises, a terrible Green Lantern story,
And then
and
Spider-Man with a gun.
like crazy. It's we got everything here at the Cup of Joe podcast. We really do.
That we do. All right. And I think that's probably going to be a perfect place to end off this week's episode then. So, I will say to everyone listening, thank you for listening. Whether it's to a small portion of this or it's to all of it, we thank you. Be sure to like the video or the pod, the thing, just like it, whatever the fuck it is. Comment whatever you want. You can comment Magic Penis. I don't think YouTube will block that, probably. Test it out. If not, then comment something else. I'm not your dad. I don't even have to do what I say. And subscribe. Do all that stuff. Subscribe, like, comment, enjoy life. Yeah, and I think that will be it from me. Any last words, Joe?
All I'm gonna say is next week we're watching the movie that I pick. We don't know what that movie is, but we're gonna find out. But for all
I
you
thought you were
listeners,
about to name it.
I didn't even think about it till like right now.
Yeah, I didn't think you would. And you can't multitask. It's fine.
We'll be talking about that. We got more Future State comics, Immortal Wonder Woman, next Batman, Nightwing, and most importantly, Teen Titans, Red X. The Joes are meeting up again. Hopefully the world doesn't explode.
Hopefully.
And then we got another Attack on Titan episode. Got it all set up, all ready to go for next week's episode of Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe. Good night,
Alrighty.
everybody.
Good night. Mwah.